Good morning mga kamatatag! Ikaw ba ay isang estudyanteng nahihirapan sa mathematics? Well, ang video na ito ay sadyang nilikha para mas maintindihan ninyo ang ilang mga konsepto patungkol sa math. Pero bago mo panoorin ang mga susunod na video, huwag mong kalimutang i-like, share, subscribe, at huwag mong kalimutang pindutin ang kampanang maliit diyan sa baba ng inyong screen upang ikaw ay mabigyan ng notification sa bawat video na aking i-upload. Enjoy learning! Good morning, champions! Congratulations because we have already finished our week 1 and week 2. And in this video, we're going to discuss our lesson for week number 3 and week number 4. So this is an introduction for the third week. Are you ready? Let's start. Right, so our topic for this video is about the roots of the quadratic equations. Okay? So this is our objectives. We're going to describe the roots of the quadratic equation if the value of b squared minus 4ac, which is our discriminant, is positive and is perfect square. Second, describe the roots of the quadratic equation if the value of our discriminant is positive and not a perfect square. Third, know what kind of roots does a quadratic equation have if the value of our discriminant is 0. And fourth, know what kind of roots does a quadratic equation have if the value of our discriminant is negative. So that's our goal. So let's start with the nature of the roots of the quadratic equations. So in the quadratic formula, the expression b squared minus 4ac under the radical sign is called the discriminant, as we have discussed in our previous video of the quadratic expression ax squared plus bx plus c, because its value determines the number and type of solutions of a quadratic equation. Again, the value of the discriminant determines the number and type of solutions of a quadratic equation. Right, in the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0, if the value of the discriminant is equal to 0, then the roots of the quadratic equations are equal. Mali ata. If b squared minus 4az is equal to 0, then the roots of the quadratic equations are equal and are both rational numbers. Again, equal and both rational numbers. So remember that if the discriminant value is 0. In other words, there is only one real number solution to the equation since they are equal. I'll give an example. I have x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So our a is 1, our b is 8, our c is 16. So this is the formula for the discriminant b squared minus 4ac. So let's substitute the value of a, b, and c. So b squared, which is our b is 8. So we have 8 squared minus 4, first constant, times a, which is 1, times c, which is 16. Okay? So, sinubstitute lang natin yung value ng each variable. So, 8 squared or 64, minus 4 times 1 is 4, times 16 is 64. So, I have now 64 minus 64 is equal to 0. So, again, based on our definition, that if the value of the discriminant is equal to 0, the quadratic equation are equal and both rational numbers, yung kanyang roots. So it means that there is only one real number solution to the equation. Right, so by factoring, let's solve. Let's check. I have the equation x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So by factoring, I have x plus 4 times x plus 4. So napag-aralan natin yung factoring in our previous video. So equating both factors equals 0. So x plus 4 equals 0. X is equal to 0 minus 4. Tinranspose natin yung 4 sa left side, sa right side. So our x is negative 4. So since they are equal, both are x plus 4. Okay? So we have only one solution, which is negative 4. Okay? So that is when the value of our discriminant is equal to 0. Next, if the value of our discriminant is greater than 0 and is perfect square, remember that, greater than 0 and is perfect square, then the roots of the quadratic equations are two distinct real numbers that are both rational numbers. When we say distinct, magkaiba. Two distinct real numbers. Okay? So, that's an example. 2x squared plus 5x minus 7 equals 0. Our a is 2, our b is 5, our c is negative 7. So, substituting the value of each variable, I have b squared or 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times negative 7, which is our c. I have 25 plus 56. I have 81. So 81 is a perfect square and is greater than 0. Therefore, we have two distinct real numbers, dalawang magkaibang numbers that are both rational numbers. So fraction. Okay, but before that, remember that a whole number can be expressed as a fraction. Okay? So let's solve. So by factoring, I have 2x squared plus 5x minus 7 equals 0. So, finding the factors of, that's 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. So, the factors are 7 and negative 2. So, review nyo to by factoring. How does it happen? So, the factors are 2x squared minus 2x and 7x minus 7. So, that is by factoring. So the factors are 2x plus 7 and x minus 1. Solving for the value of x, we have 2x equals 0 minus 7. 2x is equal to negative 7. Dividing both sides by 2. So our x is negative 7 over 2, which is rational numbers. On the other side, I have x minus 1 equals 0. So x is equal to 0 plus 1. We transpose negative 1 to the right side. So x is equal to 1. Sir, you said that both are rational numbers. Again, I have mentioned before that the whole number can be expressed as a fraction with the denominator 1. Okay? Another one. If the value of the discriminant is not the perfect square but greater than 0, okay, then the roots of the quadratic equation are two distinct, dalawang magkaibang irrational numbers. When we say irrational numbers, these are numbers that cannot be expressed as the ratio, as a fraction of two real numbers. This is an example. I have 3x squared minus 1 equals 12x. So I have to rewrite this equation into the standard form of the quadratic equation. So I have 3x squared, transposing 12x to the left side, that will become negative 12x, then minus 1 equals 0. So the value of a is 3, the value of b is negative 12, the value of c is negative 1. So I have 12 squared, which is the value of b, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 1. Substitute lang, okay? So 144 plus 12, I have 156. 156 is not a perfect square, but is greater than 0. So expect that we have two distinct irrational number solution. Okay? So let's solve. So this equation is not factorable, okay? Since this is not a perfect square, this one. So I am going to use the quadratic formula to find the roots of that equation. So that's our quadratic formula. So substitute the value, simplify, again simplify. So here, this is 4 times 39. I have to factor 156, that one of the factors has square root. So that's 4 times 39, because 4 is a perfect square. Okay? So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 4 is 2. So that's 12 plus or minus 2 over, or square root of 39 over 6. So one is positive, the other one is negative. So the two solutions are irrational numbers. Numbers that cannot be expressed in the ratio of two real numbers. So we have the positive and we have the negative. Distinct irrational numbers. Okay? Next one. If the value of the discriminant is less than 0, then the roots of the equation are two distinct imaginary numbers. So when we solve for the discriminant and the value of the discriminant is negative number, expect that our solutions or the roots are two distinct imaginary numbers. So we have discussed how to solve imaginary numbers in our previous video or previous lesson. So you can check that out. Okay? Example. I have 7x squared equals 8x minus 10. So the first thing first that we need to do is to rewrite the equation again into standard form. So I have 7x squared minus 8x plus 10 equals 0. So A is 7, B is negative 8, and C is 10. So substituting the value, I have 64 minus 280, I have negative 216. So the value of the discriminant is less than 0, which is negative number. So what's our expectation? That we have two distinct imaginary numbers. Let's solve. So by quadratic formula, because the equation is not factorable, so I'm going to use quadratic formula. Substitute, simplify, that's negative 216. Okay, so I have to factor 216, okay? I have to factor negative 216, that one of the factor is negative 1, because the square root of negative 1 is I. Remember that. So negative 1 times 36 times 6, okay? That's negative 1 times 36 times 6. Why 36? Because 36 times 6 is 216. And 36 is a perfect square. Okay? So, para ma-simplify. So, square root of 1 is I. Square root of 36 is 6. So, nilabas na natin yung kanilang roots. Over times square root of 6 over 14. So, dalawang solution. Or, we have 8 plus 6i square root of 6 over 14. Or, ni lowest term lang natin ito. Okay? So we divided both numerator and denominator by 2. Okay? So the other one is the negative. So that is the roots of a quadratic equation. Now another example, we are going to find the value of c. In this quadratic equation, 2x squared plus 4x plus c equals 0, so that the equation will have two equal roots. So when you say equal roots, means that the value of the discriminant is 0. So solution, note that a quadratic equation to have two equal roots, again its discriminant must be equal to 0. Just remember that. So use this property to solve for the value of c. So 2x squared plus 4x plus c equals 0 is in standard form. So b squared minus 4ac equals 0, which is the formula to find the discriminant. Our a is 2, our b is 4, our c is still c. So b squared, that's 4 squared, minus 4 times a, our a is 2 times c. So 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times c. So transposing positive 16 to the right side, I have negative 8c is equal to 0 minus 16. So dividing both sides by 8, I have c is equal to 2. Therefore, the value of c is 2 for us to have the roots of that quadratic equation, two equal roots. Okay? So therefore, the value of c is 2. So to verify the answer, solve the discriminant of the equation. So this is just checking if the answer is correct. Okay? So that's end our lesson 1 for the week number 3 and 4. Happy learning!